Well, hello, my fellow sensitive people. Are you ready for a good night story? It's nice to do remote viewings at night right before I go to bed. I always do my meditations and then try to upload them as fast as possible. However, this meditation began last night and then I didn't record it today, so I'm taking care of that now and added a couple more things as well. So yesterday I was watching Johnny and that whole group, Becca. Really enjoy watching them, but we were talking about the fact that COVID, if COVID is a socially transmitted disease, right? It's not a sexually transmitted disease, but it's certainly one that gets, it's like an STD in the sense that if you don't take the necessary precautions, eventually everybody that you've been playing with is going to wind up with your condition and with your infection, and that's just Public Health 101. So what has happened in the case of the White House is you have kind of the perfect storm brewing, in the sense that you have an environment where people are flying in and out from all over the world, cramped in a very small area, shaking hands, super spreaders, caterers coming and going. It's just a disaster waiting to happen. So I was watching Becca and Johnny last night, and I heard myself say when they were talking about the fact that it had become a super spreader environment because they hadn't accepted science. And I was thinking, well, Mother Nature believes in science, right? That when you look at the earth-based religions, they are the most ancient. Looking at some of the practices we see, the shamanic practices, even before Shintoism, like shamanism 10,000 years ago, ancient shamanism. I don't know what that is. Oh, it's the ice maker. I'm making ice. Anyway, so in these ancient beliefs in shamanism, there's this idea that the earth is a conscious being and there's a natural order. But what I love about that is when we study the earth sciences just objectively as scientists with no emotional attachment to it, in fact, we do see a natural order to evolution, biodiversity, etc. So when you're looking at what happened in the White House, Mother Nature believes in science. So it's the kind of thing that you look at when you're learning how infection spreads. If you're in a lab situation with a partner and you're showing how a population of an infection spreads using beads, or even if you do genetic variability and you're playing around in the lab, these are the kinds of scenarios you look at. So it doesn't surprise me that the White House eventually became basically the harlot's den of COVID-19, I'm sorry to say, because they did everything they were told not to do. So here we have the situation that the president and much of his staff are out with COVID. So that puts them out a minimum. And this is in an ideal situation, his campaign staff would be up and ready to go within 2 weeks. So when you go into this energy, what you feel is that the campaign everybody that the campaign managers, everybody that's close to the campaign, his echo chamber, the people that were supporting his illusion, it's like the emperor has no clothes. And it was their job to keep propping up the illusion, Yes, yes, you have beautiful clothes. You have beautiful clothes. Well, those people all got infected. The people that were part of the illusion. And this is something we talk about here on the channel. What is real? What is illusion? What is pretend? The rabbit hole. Let's talk about it. How do we create stories to make life bearable, but then we sacrifice the truth in the process? And unfortunately, this is a situation where they wanted to feel good, right? The danger of being bright-sided, the danger of telling ourselves these positive lies is that the monsters get bigger. And unfortunately, in this case, the monster is COVID. So what has happened is, because of this is a grand illusion and it goes against the natural order, it goes against science, eventually the illusion will crumble because it goes against the natural order. And that's exactly what has happened. And so when you go into this energy of multiple staff, including people that are responsible for running his re-election campaign, are out, and these are just the people we know about, doesn't mean never mind all the people that we don't know about. And so what's happened is that the wind has gone out of the sails of this campaign, and that there's no momentum. There's a serious loss of momentum as one by one senior leadership have to drop out of the campaign. People begin to feel, it has a domino effect. So that has a domino effect of feeling defeated and a feeling like the campaign is genuinely over. Now, one of the weird things I felt when I went into this remote was that I went and I just scanned the energy of the people that were at the super spreader event. And the weird thing was, when I went over Kellyanne, the feds were all over her, which I thought was rather odd. Like, why would the feds be all over Kellyanne? And then when I went further into it, it had to do with some deposition, something that she had said during a deposition. And then to see her talking with William Barr on the lawn, I thought that was curious, considering the fact that when I looked at her energy, I saw FBI feds all over her imagery, and then she left. And something is, I don't know what's going on there, but I just see the feds all over her, and I don't know what that's about. But I imagine we'll find out more about that soon. But all I was able to pick up about Kellyanne is I saw the FBI, literally the flag all over her, and it was regarding sworn testimony she gave regarding witnessing a conversation that had taken place in the White House, and she was asked to was asked to corroborate what she had witnessed. It was a conversation that had taken place either in the War Room or the Oval Office, but it appears to have been a conversation that took place that she witnessed between President Trump and General Kelly, and her testimony would be building a case. So this goes back to another aspect of the remote I want to talk about, and that has to do with going into Donald Trump's energy. And what I felt when I went into his energy in the hospital was that he had become suspicious of some of the testing that the doctors wanted to conduct. They kept adding more tests, and some of the tests that they were adding, or had been pressured by family or certain persons to add, possibly some of the doctors there, involved imaging and testing to look for things like brain health, etc. But there appears to have been a point when Donald Trump no longer wanted to cooperate as a patient. Maybe they, not just because they wanted him to stay there, but there's something about him signing or agreeing to further testing that made him feel that they were tinkering around, looking for potentially building evidence to, if necessary, drag him out of the White House, to show that he was mentally incompetent. Now, some forms of dementia, you know, sometimes you can have a mild dementia, nobody even knows you have a dementia. It's just like forgetful, kind of like a whimsy, right? You know, you're just old, tired, you know. But there are other forms, particularly if you're looking at like Lewy body dementia, which almost has like a schizophrenic aspect to it. People can have hallucinations, paranoia, they can hear voices, etc. They can sometimes feel like the dream state is real, or that the real world is like a dream. So if there's a suspicion that something like that is going on, then you would do imagery, and you would look at imagery to try and determine what's going on in the brain. You'd be looking for like white matter, Lewy bodies, etc., etc. So if something like that was going on, I feel like some testing. Oh, well, you're at a certain age, so we should probably do this test. Well, you're at a certain age. While you're here, let's go ahead. You delayed the imaging. We wanted to do some brain scan imaging. We wanted to do A, B, C, D, E. Like, we can go ahead and do that now. That seems to have been the conversation, and it seems to be that he tried to block it. The other thing I was going to say about this domino effect before I close is that everything begins to fall apart probably within a week and a half, 2 weeks, give or take. It's not just that everybody gets sick and so the campaign can't continue. Expect certain weather systems also to become a problem. Like I'm seeing more problem potentially in the Gulf, also the East Coast, more winds. So it's like everything happening all at once. So I just don't know if I see. Look, like I always say, just be about our business and do what we're supposed to do. But but I don't think he's going to be around much longer, be able to win this presidency. The last thing I wanted to add before I close is that there's a little bit of confusion about COVID. What we know, what we don't know about this virus. It's very fickle. A person may be a carrier, very low viral load that's not detectable. Particularly, you can make errors when you test to find out if somebody has COVID. I've actually learned how to swab. You have to go really high up in there, and if you don't do that, you can get a false negative. So if a person had a low viral load and never really fully recovered, and then doesn't take care of themselves, theoretically they could have a resurgence of the virus, or they could be reinfected. The main thing I wanted to point out was that Trump was stabilized by medication. He was stabilized by quite a heavy amount of expensive medication. He was probably given fluids. He was probably given oxygen. He definitely was given oxygen at one point. His face appeared a little redder than usual, which leads me to think he might have taken supplemental oxygen before he shot that commercial even. So he probably received fluids, electrolytes. He received an anti-inflammatory, etc. So of course he feels better than he did. Also, the course of this infection is such that you might not have advanced symptoms until 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks out. And so a lot of people start off asymptomatic. A week later, they might have a little bit of a sore throat and feel run down and feel like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. What we're concerned about is the fact that it's so unstable, that you can crash so quickly, that you can go from being mediocre okay, which is where the president is, to crashing. And that's why this whole thing is just absolutely crazy. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and thanks for watching this remote. We'll see you next time. Peace out. Bye.